In today's episode, we are going to be doing a little bit of technical analysis as far as Zilliqa is concerned. I'm also going to be revealing what the Zilliqa whales have been doing and what they are going to be doing. So please kindly watch the rest of this video because you really need to understand how the Zilliqa whales are going to be operating in the next coming few weeks. I really understand the fact that a lot of you happen to be big fans of Zilliqa because you really believe that Zilliqa is going to make you millionaires, and I totally agree. Zilliqa has got a potential of making about 1000x or even more, so a lot of people are most likely to make quite a lot of money in terms of getting to invest in Zilliqa. But you always have to understand that the markets have got different cycles. There's always an uptrend, a downtrend, a correction, and a ranging area. So it's very important for you to always understand and know what to do in a particular market phase. The other point that you really need to understand and remember is Bitcoin is directly correlated to the stock market. If you really get to scrutinize what has been happening in the financial sector of late, right, you guys would definitely agree that Bitcoin is directly correlated to the stock market. And looking at the S&P 500 index, right, we obviously experienced this drastic drop a few hours ago. So let me just switch over to the 4-hourly, right? So we obviously experienced this drastic drop in terms of the S&P 500, and this is one of the reasons why Bitcoin also kind of dropped down as well. I'm not really going to get into the details, but it really seems we are failing to get back to the previous top, and we are all of a sudden beginning to sort of have this double top right around this area. So are we going to have a bounce back where the S&P 500 is going to end up propelling to the upside? Who knows? Now that you understand that Bitcoin is directly correlated to the stock market, right, it is safe to say that obviously in the next coming few months, right, Bitcoin, or rather in the next coming few weeks or days, Bitcoin is going to be having some sort of correction. So we need to be vigilant as well. Whatever happens to Bitcoin usually happens to a lot of alternative cryptocurrencies. Zilliqa is obviously going to be implementing the staking rewards, and more people are going to be buying or rather accumulating Zilliqa, right? So this could obviously have a positive effect on Zilliqa. But what if that doesn't happen? What if the whole entire cryptocurrency market just ends up, tumbling down and everything just goes back to their initial low level prices? What are we going to be doing? I've been following a lot of your comments, and a lot of you are super bullish in terms of Zilliqa, and a lot of you don't even want to take a little bit of profits off of the table. So this is one of the reasons why I keep on reminding you to always take a little bit of profit and safeguard all your gains, because by the end of the day, any cryptocurrency is prone to have some correction. And I really want you guys to have this mentality of being level-headed, because you don't want to be in a situation where you get to compromise your profits. So right now, if you are 200% in profit, always remember to remove a little bit of money off of the table and take advantage of the volatility. Take a look at this particular comment right over here. The reason why cryptocurrency traders or traders in general take profit is for them to take advantage of the volatility. You can always go into USD, Tether, or any stable coin, and if, or rather in case, Zilliqa gets to have a little bit of correction, right, you can actually get to double the amount of Zilliqa that you have. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Whatever you do, please do your own research and do your own due diligence. Now let's move over to Zilliqa USD pair. And if you take a look at the daily, right, the daily is really giving us a little bit of signs of exhaustion. So we can clearly see that we obviously ended up topping around, close to about 3 cents. And if you take a look at the selling volume right over here, right, this was like a significant, dumping volume. Take a look at that bar right over there. That is super duper crazy in terms of the selling pressure. So that is telltale sign that this is obviously some sort of ceiling, which is preventing the price of Zilliqa at the moment from going a little bit further. Anything can happen. We might end up, having some sort of similar action to what I am showing you on the screen, and then we might end up propelling to the upside. But these are the telltale signs that I usually look forward to and just getting to analyze them in terms of my trading, because if you take a look at this sell volume right over here, it is significantly substantial, and you cannot really ignore the fact that there are people who are offloading and making sure that the order books are being fully satisfied. If you happen to be my subscriber, right, I did talk about the fact that the best buying, or rather refill zone, is obviously going to be around this area, which is going to help us sort of have some stable basis in terms of getting to buy back a little bit of Zilliqa, because this is the area where we previously had quite a lot of resistance. So obviously in the next coming few weeks or even months, right, we are obviously and most likely going to end up retesting this level. So this is one of the reasons why you always have to practice a little bit of patience. So anyway, let's just for a moment assume that this has been the top for now. By the way, this is not factual, I'm just speculating, because trading is all about possibilities and probabilities. So let's just for a moment get to assume that this was a top. So if the price of Zilliqa gets to drop all the way to this level right around this area, right, that is basically a 76% price difference. And can you imagine how much more Zilliqa you can actually get to buy back when you end up selling right around this area? Let's say, for example, you get some profit right around this area, and then you go into USD Tether or any other stable coin, right? And let's say, for example, the price of Zilliqa ends up correcting to around 6/10 of a penny, and then you get to buy back, right? You are actually going to end up earning more Zilliqa by buying back at a cheaper price. So this is one of the reasons why you always have to be way much more patient. So in case the price of Zilliqa ends up going to the upside, right, you're not really going to lose anything, because you've got money which is sort of stable, and you can actually get to buy back anytime, or you can trade other cryptocurrencies, because in the first place you bought at a cheaper price. So it's a win-win situation. Now let's say the price of Bitcoin, or rather Zilliqa, ends up correcting, right, and you don't really get to take advantage of that particular volatility, right? So that means all your profits that you could have had, the 78% profit that you had, is obviously shrinking, and that is worse than not really taking money off of the table. I'm not really going to go into much details on why I chose this particular area to be a very good refill zone, because I have talked about this for a very long period of time on my YouTube channel. Check out my previous videos. So in case the price of Zilliqa ends up dropping like right around 6/10 of a penny, then you guys obviously know what to do. It's going to be a very good area to load and just basically buy a whole lot of Zilliqa. So right now the only thing that I'm doing is I am chopping off a little bit of profit just in case the price of Zilliqa ends up correcting. And let's be realistic, the price of Zilliqa has been just going up for the past months, and it has always been gaining momentum, and it has been doing tremendously well. Everybody's excited. I am super excited. I'm sure you've been making a whole lot of money, but nothing goes up forever, and there's obviously going to be some slight correction a little bit later. In case you don't really want to end up trading, or rather over trading, right, you can obviously dollar cost average whenever the price of Zilliqa drops down. So dollar cost averaging is also a very good trading strategy in the long run, especially if you are only going to be cashing out in the next coming years, I don't know, like 1 to 5 years from now. So it doesn't really matter whether you take advantage of the volatility or not. So it just depends on your schedule as well. I have a lot of time, and I really want to take advantage of the volatility. So the other point that I wanted to talk about is I wanted to discuss what the Zilliqa whales are doing. Obviously, the Zilliqa whales are either institutional investors or pump and dump groups, or basically people who've got a whole lot of money. So these are the people that ended up buying Zilliqa right around this area or even these areas. Okay, so this is where they actually got in. So the people who are getting to buy Zilliqa around these areas, right, these are obviously the people who are jumping on the bandwagon a little bit later. I mean, of course everybody's early because Zilliqa is super cheap, okay, but I'm just talking in comparison to the people who, you know, bought around this area and within this area. Okay, so everybody's super early right now, but there are people who've got better advantages in terms of you know, the areas where they got to purchase Zilliqa in. So obviously if these people end up selling around these areas, right, they are still going to be in profit because they actually went in around these you know, low levels right around this area. It's been your boy Muna, aka Beyond 10x. I will be talking to you a little bit later. Be good, subscribe, hit the like button. We need about 100 likes on this particular video, and I'm just keeping it 100 with you guys. I just want you to get the right information, and I just don't want to be one of those cliche YouTubers that already talk about the positives. We have to balance up everything. We talk about the positives and the negatives as well, because we need to have a well balanced type of information around this area. Okay, so please do not get upset at me, and I'm obviously going to be talking to you a little bit later. Bye.